this other thing, which is a documentary called How to Survive a Plague, which is an extraordinary documentary about ACT UP and about how AIDS activists got together to basically confront the lack of when the AIDS crisis first, started breaking, and there was basically this feeling from the government, from the US government's point of view, and from the pharmaceutical industry's point of view, that they were dragging their heels, and this thing was unfolding, and the people who weren't having their voices heard were the people who are in the middle of this crisis. And it's an extraordinary portrait. It's assembled, hundreds of hours of footage has been used to put this together, of this very, very disparate group of people, all of whom have very different skills, all of whom have very different life experiences, all of whom are joined by the battle against AIDS, forming this extraordinary sort of coalition who start finding ways of actually advancing both the science and the politics and the discussion, and by doing so, saving lives in the face of the most appalling prejudice, in the face of the most appalling inactivity. People who describe their memory of this time as being essentially like being in the middle of a war. It's moving, it's enraging, it's uplifting, it is ultimately empowering. During the course of the documentary, you are, because of the way that because there's such a wealth of footage that they've drawn in, you really find yourself drawn into the center of those meetings, people doing things which are extraordinarily admirable and fighting back in appalling circumstances. I mean, politicians on one side and pharmaceutical industries on the other side, and people with terrible prejudices in the face of this, this widening crisis. And in the middle of it all, Larry Kramer, doing the, speaking occasionally like an Old Testament prophet. And I thought it was very, very moving, very, very gripping, very, very uplifting, the kind of thing that you think this is an educational piece and people should see this, because this is a piece about what happens when communities come together and can do extraordinary things.